Over the past month, I've been playing with the idea of building a really unique, exotic bow. And now, it's time. Genuinely, thank you so much for joining me today. It truly is an honor. I hope you enjoyed this.
So I'm just gonna do the rip cuts on these two pieces to take off the strip for the laminations.
Gotcha.
And then I'm gonna resaw those.
Limbs first, and then handle will be later. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You know, to be honest, the hardest thing is actually using the fiberglass for this.
What do you mean by that?
Because the riser's 2 inches and our fiberglass is
because we got that.
1 3/4 inches.
Push it together in the middle.
So like the worst thing is if it separates in the middle, then you've got a gap.
The first thing to do with any project is to solve the future problems now. Secondly, we design and plan the best we can before we get our hands on with the material. This will give us a higher success rate of getting the results we want.
Yeah, based on what we came up with yesterday, the combos, we don't have enough in the Peruvian.
Okay. I have heard it said you do not want to be the smartest person in the room. Meaning humble yourself and surround yourself with people who have skills and knowledge in areas that you do not. It is at this point that you can grow. So personally, I look for friends that are wiser, stronger, faster, more spiritual, are better off financially, have older kids, are happier, and are great at communication. And the same is true for business. I try to make sure that everyone I hire has a different skill set than me. This means as a unit, as a team, we can go so much further.
I was thinking about only starting at like a 16th or like 3/32 or something. So what I may do is see how that ends up, and then if I need to take more, I can.
Tightening it a little bit.
Yeah, just give it a little more tension. And then get the bearings as close as possible, but the fence is kind of in the way of that.
Meet Zach. He's one of those people. He has a really unique skill set with a background in mechanical engineering and then running his own fine woodworking business. Combining those skills is basically the perfect storm to make fantastic bows. His precision, accuracy, and system building is helping Shatterproof go to the next level.
Gonna be a bow.
We take our work extremely seriously, but we have a lot of fun while doing it too. Speaking of fun, I was recently on the Outdoor Podcast, and it was a great experience. And we kind of talked about making a really unique bow in that podcast. So that's what we're doing right here today, is making 4 really unique bows. We're gonna send one over to the guys at the Outdoor Podcast, just kind of as a big thank you. And then we're gonna auction the other 3 off on our website. To build a bow like this, it takes significantly more time than the other bows we build, but it's gonna be worth it because these turn out fantastic. So Zach's gonna prep material here for the next 8 hours or so, and I wanna show you how he does it because the results are stunning. What's the minimum planer thickness you'll do?
It's like an eighth. You can do thinner, but
doesn't it start like chattering more?
Yeah, it does. 6 right now.
Is this accurate?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to recalibrate every time you turn it on, do you?
No. There was one time where it lost the number, but in general, not too bad. So I've calibrated it a couple of times and it's been coming out pretty good.
We're using clear fiberglass today to highlight the wood. So on the belly of the bow, we're gonna use RedHeart, and on the back, we're gonna use Peruvian walnuts. Right now, Zach is prepping the limb laminations. This will be part of the working part of the bow. We're gonna have the clear fiberglass, we're gonna have RedHeart, we're gonna have bamboo, Peruvian walnut, and the handle will also include curly maple. It's gonna be fantastic. To maximize this really nice material, we're starting with the limb laminations, and then Zach will go on to the smaller pieces to build out the handle. Now that the roughing is done on the planer, it's time to bring the veneers over to the drum sander to bring them down to 20 thousandths of an inch. Just hit 50. Which one are you doing? This one? A little thicker than that.
63. Oh!
After a couple hours of drum sanding, it is now time to prep the handle material. At this point, Zach is contemplating the next hour and a half he has to spend planing wood. This is a unique method for gluing many pieces of wood together. By placing the wood in a vacuum bag and using a vacuum pump, we can extract all the air out of the bag. This creates a clamping pressure that is strong enough to hold the wood together until the epoxy cures. On this first bow, we have 11 different pieces of material that need to be aligned and held together, and this system makes the process a little bit easier. And 24 hours later, we're ready to unpackage this and keep working on the handle.
That break?
Yeah.
Nice. Great. It's not as satisfying. Next, we will clean up the handle and attempt to get our robot to behave and 3D carve the riser before we move on to the glue up. We will also finish prepping the bamboo, RedHeart, and Peruvian walnut for the limbs. And then finally we'll be able to bring this bow to life by compiling all of its components. Not only to make a beautiful bow, but a great shooting bow as well. We have never machined a riser with so many fiberglass accents, and this presented new problems. You see, fiberglass cuts different than wood, and what we need is a program and a bit that can accommodate both. So first, Zach installed a fresh ball nose bit, and secondly, he tweaked the CAM software to optimize the toolpath for machining fiberglass and wood on the same program. This worked, and we were finally able to carve out our rough riser. The CNC is great, but it can't do everything. Now it's time to clean up the riser. Zach will first feather the fade-outs. This is very important in order to achieve a great tiller. It also prevents a hinge in the transition from the riser to the limbs. We have done a lot to get to this point, and that is because the quality of the bow comes from the quality of the preparation. If the bow is going to shoot great, the preparation needs to be on point. Where a self bow is primarily built after the glue up or after the stave is shaped, a fiberglass bow is primarily built in the preparation. So hold on, because this is coming together quick.
Some sun at regular intervals.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, but it just wasn't there wasn't a whole lot of intrigue. Because like the benefit would be that it's not like scraping away material. Also, because this glue is so viscous, like it doesn't want to flow out of the way. So if you've got like a bigger, thicker section in the middle of the limb, that glue's not gonna wanna leave. Once it starts heating up, it starts squeezing out a little bit, but if it starts curing at the same time before it's moved out of the way, it hasn't moved out of the way.
Is that where you see those bigger glue lines, you think?
I think so.
That's the cause?
I think sometimes it is actually the glue. Sometimes it's alignment and gaps and stuff.
Sure.
But especially like I've had to be really careful with that on the riser glue ups, because I'm curing those cold.
Yeah.
And I've noticed like some massive, well, not massive, but some like larger glue lines in the centers.
Yeah, because you don't have the heat to help spread that out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the heat really does pretty much everything we need it to do. Amazing how much custom takes so much more time.
3 full bows, including the handle for one, kinda.
That is true.
We're doing so many laminations.
Got a quick prop to run by you. Proposition.
Okay.
For products we're shipping out of
Ready?
Not true. Oh, this is a 60-pound bow.
Exactly.
No,
But it's definitely heavy.
it's just a lot of lamination.
Can you tell by just pinching it in there, Kaz? Like,
I can make a guess.
what's your guess?
I think it's gonna be a 50.
45.
45, and you think 50?
Maybe. It feels pretty stiff.
It did look pretty cool. Well, and there's also all the more glue lines. So maybe it will be a 50.
One where I didn't do the cutout recently.
Oh, really?
And it was totally fine. It was cool. Pretty good. That looks really good. Oh, it looks really good. Okay, this stress leaching out of me.
Leaching out. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know what the name says?
the little bamboo backer off, I'm gonna glue another piece of fiberglass to it, and then I'm gonna be able to resaw it down the middle
To make two?
to make two. And so they'll be identical.
So the second piece of fiberglass will go where the bamboo is.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. To basically make these, but I don't have to make two by hand every time.
Yeah.
The only trouble is that I think that there may be more gaps in the other side,
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
but we'll see. Definitely on these ones, like the way I did it, it's a marquetry technique.
What is that?
Marquetry is where you, usually by hand, but you can do it with a scroll saw too, where you cut out a whole bunch of different thin veneers of different species of wood, and then you make a picture with all the different colors.
Oh, okay.
Where you undercut it so that the top edges fit together tighter, but there's a gap on the underside.
Oh, interesting.
So when I took these off, there was this massive gap down the middle. I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, I did that on purpose. And this side is the important side.
So which orientation are you going? Is this facing the outside or is this facing the handle?
I was going to face these down.
So it's pointing to the handle?
Yeah. Right here is where the string groove goes, and it thins down a lot there. So I can actually include more of this top red section if I put it like that. And so unfortunately, actually it's going to be cut off like here-ish.
Sure.
Because if you look at kind of the length here, which I may also just make these a little longer. Because having a longer tip overlay really won't, like, it's not really bending a whole lot up here.
No,
anyway.
no, it's not going to affect it.
So having like a little bit more of that, and the full, like, I want to get to the point of the maple where it's still kind of before the transition. Which I think would be cool. So
I wanted to come up with something super unique with the tip overlay, so I said, Zach, do whatever you think would be the coolest. And he comes up with this marquetry technique and does a really cool tip overlay and adds a lot of clear fiberglass. I think it'll give it a really cool look, and we'll see how it turns out. All in, how much longer will this bow take than the normal bones?
Everybody's making the same structure.
probably 6x.
So we need to sell it for 6 times the amount of money?
You sell it for 12x the amount of money.
Starting bid at $7,600.
I like it.
Materials was about 12x too.
I have been thinking these are a little thinner than our.
Drop on the next veneers.
I think trying something more along the lines of like 700.
You think it'll drop that much, huh?
I think it could. But like we could aim for a 50 with 700.
700 off of each piece, or on each piece.
Yeah.
So you're dropping 3/10 of an inch.
Yeah.
Basically 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be significant.
Well, I'm dropping a.
Am I thinking of that wrong?
No. I'm dropping 150 on both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be worth it. We were just trying to work out what poundage that these bows will come out to, because we can use thicknesses from other bows, but because we have maybe a different amount of glue lines, we also have different materials that are going to react differently, and some are going to be stronger, some are going to be weaker. We're kind of guessing on this RedHeart bow for this first couple bows. We're going to make 4 in total, so we should be able to get it pretty dialed in by the last one. But that's part of the difficulty of trying out new materials, is all of your previous measurements don't apply to the new bow that you're making. Zach is now setting up the CNC jig for tip overlays. This will make it symmetrical and do the roughing so that he can finish it out by hand, but have really good guides to go on to make it as good as possible. Really?
Yeah, it's like negative a 16.
This is a really big turning point with this bow. It's been a week or two in the process, and Zach's done 5, 6, 7, I don't know, maybe even 10 glue ups just to put the handle together, the tip overlays together, put the bow together, put the tip overlays on the bow, but now everything changes. It's just removing the unnecessary material to make a fantastic bow. So Zach's gonna apply his precise magical touch to sculpt out the material we don't need to make this bow shoot as good as possible. So if you're not excited yet, you better get excited, because this bow is gonna be amazing.
Hate it. Hate it. God.
So Kramer was right when he said the hardest part of making a bow is
It's the part that feels like it should take the least amount of time and doesn't actually take the most amount of time, but takes a lot more time than it feels like it should take. All right, here we go. All right, so we've got our bow here, finished sanded. The first step we do is apply a coat of shellac, sand that at 320 just to get everything nice and smooth, fill some of the pores, especially on this walnut here. And then from there, we also use that to kind of amber the wood, make it really pop color-wise. And then we use a water-based top coat that pales things out just a little bit, which is why we do the shellac first. So these have already had the coat of shellac and a light sanding, so these are ready to accept the final finish. Oh yeah.
bow has a slightly different color pattern. This is 1 of 4. This one's going to Bowhunter Planet, and then the other 3 are the auction bows. There's 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and finally 4 of 4. Now the tip overlays on each one are a little bit different. So you'll see each one has a little bit different pattern in them that matches with the handle. It goes right in the center, so if that's the goal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you on the next video. See you then.